We're sitting here as the steering committee for the Class M class action lawsuit in Clark County. And our target date to file is September 28th. It's on the calendar. We're going to file in federal court for reasons of jurisdiction. We intend to use strippers to serve the complaint on the county and the various cities. We have to present a picture to the world at large that shocks them. Because it's what's really going on here is a very shocking insult to the Fourth Amendment. This steering committee came up with that brand, repealitorfeelit.com. It started out with a dot sticker, which is the famous boogie boo of all motorcycle riders. You got to have one on your helmet, right? So it's like right here. And the Repeal It or Feel It brand, that's our brand. How it all got started was Brother Dave here got a couple of helmets.
Pretty much got Boss Hogg at the trial. North Las Vegas told me that the law doesn't matter in that court. Turns out he was right. It was a court of non-record. When I appealed, they had to start the whole trial over again. Boulder City is another court of non-record, and I got Boss Hogg, but with a little kindler, gentler version. The judge wrote a Road King, and he's got 30,000 miles, and we all know what we're supposed to do. So, anyway, but they still couldn't tell me how do I comply with certainty with Nevada's helmet law. Nobody's ever been able to tell me that.
Ever.
And I've asked and asked and asked.
No, everybody.
I have asked.
Okay, so what is the helmet law state?
Here's the layman's version. The state of Nevada says wear a helmet.
Right.
It refers to a Nevada administrative code which says that it will adopt standards. And the standard that it adopted is a federal standard called FMVSS 218.
Right.
And that's just a testing standard.
Okay.
It applies to manufacturers.
And it applies to manufacturers. It doesn't even apply to the end users.
Just like your DOT tire, you've never been pulled over by a cop and said, "Oh, that's not a real DOT tire." Well, that's how ridiculous it is.
Okay.
That's how ridiculous it is.
When I went to my first arraignment, the judge said, "Well, did you bring your helmet with you?" And I wanted to say, "Why, Judge? Have you got a laboratory under your robe there?" Number one, that's the only way you're going to know if it's legal is if it passes a test. And in order to pass a test, you got to destroy it, and the government doesn't have the authority to destroy your property. So there you have it.
We're not telling you that we want you to wear a helmet. We're just telling you that those of us want a choice.
The choice is good,
absolutely.
But also the Fourth Amendment there. I've been pulled over for my helmets. I've been in handcuffs. I've been in handcuffs because I'm a nice guy. And for 30 minutes to an hour, while I'm sitting there like this during the heat, in the middle of July, while he's sitting all this other shit, wrong with 2 helmet tickets.
Right.
And I got pulled over for the helmet, which is just an excuse for him to mess with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a pretext.
Yeah, he knows you got at least some weapons. If nothing else, you got some dope or something. You got to have something. You got tattoos.
Make no mistake about it. This helmet law is not about keeping us safe. And it is what empowers law enforcers to detain motorcyclists under the guise of checking a helmet, which is complete bullshit. And they are the main lobbyists against the helmet law repeal. When you go to legislation, we pay for them to lobby against us.
They use our money to lobby against us to create more power for themselves.
Plus, they go on company time to go.
Sure, of course.
It's our tax dollars for them to say, "Oh, we're the ones that have to see the carnage."
So I appeal. I appeal first in North Las Vegas, and she's like, "Sucker, that'll be $12." And so I 2 5s, 2 1s. Pulled it out, give it to her, paid my fine and everything because I was guilty because the law doesn't matter in his court. $306 for a helmet ticket and then $12 for the appeal. And I got to district court on that one. I did basically the same thing in Boulder City. It was $112, and they'd never done an appeal before. Neither one of them had done an appeal before out of that, according to them.
It's just not done. Right? People don't appeal.
So the judge got out of his bathrobe, and he was over there, so the lady went up and asked him, this guy wants to appeal. What do I really don't know. I'll charge him for a witness fee, get $50 off him. That's exactly what they did.
Whoa.
Well, it's a money-making system.
And so I went in for my arraignments and different results, and we tried a couple of different things, but basically, what ended up happening was Travis wrote the most bitchin' brief.
On the day of the hearing, they showed up and dismissed both tickets. Meaning they already had him convicted in Muni court.
Right.
They got a do-over in district court, and they said, never mind.
We're taking our ball and going home, Your Honor.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
They folded like
cheap suits in the rain.
Yes, they folded.
And then that's when Travis said, oh, not so fast.
What happened?
This keeps happening over and over. We constantly get helmet tickets, and if anybody challenges it, it gets dismissed. And the judge says, well, what can I do? I can't force the prosecutors to prosecute. He was just getting ready to hit his gavel and say, case dismissed, when he said...
When who said?
The judge said, wait a minute.
He said, you know, I do understand the inconvenience. They put Mr. Stilwell through, and that's when I said, can I file a memo of fees and costs?
What are you going to do? You going to write him another ticket tomorrow?
Yeah,
He did. So
the judge got it. He said, yeah, this is kind of weird.
So they're gonna dismiss that, but oh yeah, I go riding through their town again. Guess what? They're gonna beat on me like white on red.
Yeah.
And
You got time to be going down to the courthouse every other week.
Right.
Or you can just pay the fine, roll over.
Right.
You just roll up and pay the fine. Exactly. That's what most people do.
Here's the thing. This last year, the repeal of the helmet law got further than it's ever gotten in the Nevada legislature. The thing that's always jammed down our throats at the hearings is the public burden. You know, if we repeal the helmet law, there's going to be all these droolers, right, who are going to become a public burden on the healthcare system. And this steering committee said, oh yeah? You want a public burden?
We'll give you public burden.
We got your public.
We got your public burden swinging right here.
And actually, next had the stats that Florida and Texas, who have no helmet laws, have less burden than we do, and we have helmets.
Arizona has less burden, but I caught them red-handed. I caught John Johansson, who is the department safety person for Nevada, collaborating with a university medical person, Bob Brown, collaborating with the numbers, saying, hey, this doesn't look right. How come in Arizona it seems to cost less if you, and they don't have to wear helmets? And they say, well, maybe it's because they just die. You know, and they don't cost anybody anything. Well, I like to see that in real figures. And in the meantime, Johansson perjures himself in front of the legislators to say, oh, it's going to cost $120,000 per person if we if we give them the choice. He took a bunch of numbers from a bunch of states, including a state called Other,
I've been
to manipulate the numbers.
So not only have we cost them all this money just to prosecute him, and now they can't flick us off fast enough because we're
still stuck.
We're stuck to them.
Like snot.
Snot. So, but one of the things we asked for in the opening brief that they folded against, that they never even responded to, is we asked the judge for an injunction against the city of North Las Vegas and Boulder City, forcing them to stop writing helmet tickets unless their officers had probable cause, had training, knew the law, which none of them do, and they don't have training. And the judge said, look, this is a criminal case. I'm not going to give you an injunction, which is a civil remedy. We wanted to lose in district court so we could appeal it to the Supreme Court, and they cut us off at the knees by dismissing, and yet look where we're going. We have cost them so much money over helmet ticket.
It's wrong to start with.
It's wrong to start with. And Mr. Stilwell's right. And it's not just that they did it to him in these two instances, but every time he throws his leg over his motorcycle, he's at the risk of getting another ticket, because it's totally subjective. If the cop doesn't like you, he can write you a helmet ticket, even if it's a full face. But let's start at the beginning. The class action, the goal of the class action is two things: money damages and injunctive relief. We file a class action lawsuit in end of September, and if this class action lawsuit is certified, meaning it passes the initial threshold questions that the court is going to ask. We just made history. Who do we sue? What do we sue him for? Where do we sue him? And one of the elements of it is his actual damages, the money he spent defending himself, right? Or the fines.
Lost time.
Right, whatever.
Thanks, bro.
But he also runs the risk of getting pulled over anytime he gets on his bike. And we're sitting there, we going, well, wait. That describes everybody that rides a motorcycle in Clark County. Does it not?
Yep.
So we go, class action. The timing of this class action lawsuit is important because about the time this lawsuit matures, if we have any success at all, will be right about the time the legislature comes back into session.
Okay.
And so it's gonna be, you want a public burden? We've got a public burden for you here.
Has
So
anybody-
the goal is to repeal it. The class action
To repeal the
lawsuit
helmet
is
law.
not a facial attack on whether or not the state of Nevada can have a helmet law. That's already gone all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. The question is, if you have a helmet law, you cannot violate the Fourth Amendment to enforce it.
Gotcha.
We think if we create enough of a public burden, that they'll just discover that we have rights.
The gut punch.
The lights will go on and they'll go, oh my God, you people do have rights. We believe that a repeal will not increase the public burden and it will increase tourism.
Absolutely.
What are we asking for in the lawsuit? We're asking for money damages and the injunctive relief. In the event that money damages are awarded, every single M rider in Clark County will get a check.
Unless they opt out, or-
Unless they opt out.
Gotcha.
Which amounts to about?
Well, we don't know. It could be 12 cents. We don't care.
It ain't about the money.
Right.
Yeah,
Right now.
We know that.
Yeah,
Right
See,
now.
we know that.
Yeah.
But the point is the last thing the county and the cities want is the injunction. If we get past certification and we have a viable lawsuit, they're going to try and buy us off. But the reality is, if we have any success at all, if we get past class certification and we have a viable lawsuit, we have set a pattern and a model that can be replicated in any county in the country.
We already had California on the phone tonight.
I didn't get that memo.
Yeah. It's a crossover.
Yeah. Went to Vancouver Island, and there's a guy that resembles myself that he's like F the Queen and they're making me wear a helmet from coast to coast. Eh? If we go after the state, they're going to think we're attacking their helmet law. Well, we don't want them to do that. We're not attacking their helmet law. We're attacking the officers not respecting our Fourth Amendment when they pull us over. And yeah. Now, are we going to get the helmet law? That's what we're after.
Eventually.
But we're not
Eventually.
attacking
That
it
one
on
is
its
gonna
face.
start
It's something
You're
that can
fighting
be
fire with
referenced.
fire. The same way they've been taking away our rights little